Salt Bae has been sued by former employees ranging from waiters to managers to sommeliers for wage theft, discrimination, and labor violations. The former employees describe a toxic workplace.
Newsret Cochier, aka Instagram celeb Salt Bae, has his own restaurant chain, and apparently, according to those who've been, they're pretty trash. But don't worry, it's not all bad news for Newsret.
The dude Salt Bae should have had some more social acuity. He should have understood that that is unacceptable.
What does this have to do with steak? God damn it, that's all the Salt Bae is known for, is putting salt on steak. What the hell does this have to do with cooking meat anyway?
Infantino just got in the way and the presentation far too much. But he was the FIFA president. But Salt Bae, oh my God.
Salt Bae's empire is collapsing right in front of our eyes. And this time, there's no saving it. The man who once went viral for sprinkling salt with a little elbow flare has officially hit rock bottom in America and Europe. The critics are louder than ever. The customers are laughing at him. And his once luxury dining image has turned into a global embarrassment. Think about it. This was supposed to be the golden era of Salt Bae. He had celebrities lined up at his restaurants, athletes tagging him on social media, and viral videos that made him look untouchable. But now, that glitter has worn off. Everywhere you look, Twitter, Instagram, late night shows, people are roasting him. He's become a running joke, and not in a good way.
People are salty with Salt Bae. Salt Bae has been sued by former employees ranging from waiters to managers to sommeliers for wage theft, discrimination, and labor violations. The former employees describe a toxic workplace full of unpaid overtime, illegal tip sharing, retaliation, sexism, nationality-based discrimination, and way more. These lawsuits have come to public attention.
The complaints keep piling up. People are saying his steaks taste average at best. The sides are forgettable, and the prices are completely outrageous. We're talking about bills in the thousands for food that many claim isn't even worth a quarter of the price. And those dramatic rituals he's famous for. The slow motion salt drop, the tableside carving, the flashy knife flips. People now say it feels corny, staged, and straight up cringe. What used to feel like a spectacle now feels like a scam.
Cochier, aka Instagram celeb Salt Bae, has his own restaurant chain, and apparently, according to those who've been, they're pretty trash. Cochier has figured out a way to turn his suave meat cutting into over 10 million followers, but he hasn't figured out a way to make his food as good as his seasoning techniques. According to Time, the reviews are scathing, with food critics from across the city deeming it bland, boring, and way too expensive. Eater called the steaks rubbery, food critic Robert Siestima said he left hungry despite dropping $300 for two, and Steve Cuozzo of the New York Post called the whole restaurant a ripoff, describing one of the steaks as shoe leather tough bone-in ribeye, which for extra fun was loaded with gruesome globs of fat.
But here's where it gets uglier. Salt Bae's legal problems are exploding. Sources say he's facing 7 separate lawsuits across the world tied to his restaurants and his behavior inside them. Former employees are accusing him of shady practices, customers are suing over sketchy charges, and landlords are even coming after him for unpaid rent. The scandals are piling up faster than he can sprinkle salt. The empire he bragged about building is collapsing brick by brick, and insiders are whispering that he could soon be locked out of both America and Europe's restaurant scene for good. Salt Bae's reputation has gone from internet legend to courtroom defendant, and the fall from grace couldn't be more dramatic. Back in 2019, Salt Bae's so-called luxury New York steakhouse got hit with its first serious scandal, and it was ugly. A waiter blew the whistle, claiming the restaurant was skimming tips right off the plates of its own staff. Workers alleged that about 3% of every customer gratuity was being stolen.
Honestly, the fact that a butcher who got famous off of his steaks online can't even prepare them to good standard in real life is the reason why you can't trust anything on IG. Still, Gauthier has served the likes of Justin Timberlake and Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles. I wonder if they thought his steaks were mundane, tough, and rather bland, like GQ food critic Joshua David. David also noted that aside from the bad steaks, other dishes were criminally overcooked, and you have to pay nearly $10 for a jug of water. But don't worry, it's not all bad news for Newsret. What the restaurant lacks in food, it makes up for with IG-ready photo ops.
And anyone brave enough to speak up about it, fired on the spot. The case was so damning that the restaurant had no choice but to settle in 2020, dropping a whopping $300,000 to make it disappear. But that was only the beginning of the nightmare. Later that same year, 2019 again, things heated up in Miami. Another server came forward accusing the steakhouse of discrimination and wrongful termination, saying she was mistreated, underpaid, and pushed out unfairly. Suddenly, it looked like Salt Bae's glamorous empire was hiding a rotten core of workplace abuse. By 2021, the floodgates burst wide open, In New York, 5 employees revealed a shocking scheme. Management labeled them managers on paper, just to dodge paying them overtime. In reality, these people were working more than 70 hours a week and only making $1,125 total. That's pennies compared to the image Salt Bae sells on Instagram. And that wasn't all. In the same year, 2 more lawsuits landed like bombs. One worker, Angelo Mayer, claimed he was deliberately cut out from the good-paying tables and even slapped across the face by a manager, all because he wasn't Turkish. Then came Elizabeth Cruz, who dropped an even darker allegation, saying she was pressured to wear revealing outfits at work, and when she resisted, she was fired. Both of them demanded $500,000 each in damages, and the public outrage spread like wildfire. But the scandals didn't stop at America's borders. By 2023, a global investigation put Salt Bae's empire under a harsh spotlight. Lawsuits and testimonies poured in from multiple countries, all painting the same picture.
Once a year. Stays like 2 weeks in rotation. 2 weeks! Once he completes the whole tour, it's a year.
A toxic workplace culture filled with racial and gender discrimination, tip theft, harassment, and shady money-making tricks. One shocking detail even alleged that restaurants were reselling leftover wine from other customers to new guests, something that horrified diners worldwide. Right now, Salt Bae is getting dragged everywhere. Even the mainstream news is ripping him apart and exposing the shady scams he built his empire on. And if that wasn't humiliating enough, the thing people used to hype him for, his food, has now been revealed as mediocre at best. The backlash is so big, it's not just denting his career, it's shaking his entire public image.
Salt Bae should have had some more social acuity.
But here's the twist. It's not only news outlets exposing him, the real fire is coming from food critics, the very people who once gave him free publicity. They're torching his restaurants, calling the steaks bland, the sides lazy, and the prices criminally high. And they're not wrong. Salt Bae's whole fame started with one gimmick, the over-the-top salt sprinkle. Critics now say what millions once cheered for is nothing more than a cheap trick wasting diners' time. And get this, Salt Bae barely even runs his own empire. Sources say he only drops by each restaurant once a year, staying for a short vacation of maybe 2 weeks. That's it. Imagine owning dozens of luxury restaurants, but treating them like your personal holiday homes. And when he does show up, he spends maybe 2 to 5 minutes at each table, flicking salt in slow motion like it's still 2017. That's the big scam. Customers are paying insane prices not for the food, but for 2 minutes of Salt Bae performing with a steak knife. It's all smoke and mirrors, and people are finally catching on. What used to be a viral internet moment now looks like a desperate stunt. And the backlash has turned brutal. Recently, one customer flat out humiliated him in public.
Why he was permitted to hold this or touch this is crazy.
But it's also very cringe.
We as a society made a massive mistake with Salt Bae.
Mocking his famous ritual right to his face. Can you even believe it? The very ritual that made Salt Bae famous, the flashy salt sprinkle that turned him into a viral sensation, is now being flat out rejected. Customers are no longer lining up for the show. Instead, they're avoiding him at his own restaurants, like he's a walking embarrassment. How shameful is that for someone who once branded himself as the king of luxury dining? And it doesn't stop there. People aren't just roasting his food anymore, they're tearing apart his behavior too. His social conduct has become a running joke online. What once came off as charisma now looks like desperation, and instead of being admired, he's being laughed at. Day by day, Salt Bae is turning himself into a meme, and not the good kind. In the public eye, he's slipping lower and lower, becoming someone the internet calls trash instead of a trendsetter. But just when you think it can't get worse, another controversy has come back to haunt him. Remember the chaos during the 2022 FIFA World Cup final? Salt Bae forced his way onto the field in Qatar, grabbed the World Cup trophy, and even pulled players into awkward photo ops. That move caused outrage worldwide. Fans, athletes, and FIFA officials all called it a disgrace. The backlash was so massive that FIFA banned him from all future events. Now, with the next World Cup coming up, people are dragging him all over again, reminding the world that Salt Bae is literally banned from FIFA. Instead of being a global icon, he's become a global warning sign. An example of what happens when ego and arrogance go too far. The man who sprinkled salt into fame is now being sprinkled out of relevance, mocked as nothing more than internet trash. Not only that, critics and industry experts went in hard on Salt Bae after the FIFA fiasco. They didn't just call it unprofessional, they warned him outright that such shady behavior should never happen again. Commentators ripped him apart, saying he crossed the line between celebrity and spectacle, and in doing so, he destroyed what little credibility he had left. And that's exactly how Salt Bae transformed from viral sensation into one of the most disrespected figures on the internet. His downfall didn't happen overnight. It was built piece by piece through arrogance, shady practices, and a total lack of respect for the very people who made him famous. It all started when the first stories broke about him rigging customers, stealing from employees, and pocketing unfair profits. From there, the cracks turned into an avalanche of backlash. This is the perfect example of what happens when fame goes unchecked. You can rise overnight, but if you don't respect your audience, if you don't deliver what you promise, you can lose it all just as fast. Salt Bae is living proof of that. One moment a hero, the next moment a punchline. And now his empire is paying the price. His restaurants are shutting down across America and Europe, and the ones still open are bleeding reputation. Even if he tries to escape overseas, there's no guarantee he can survive the same way he once did. So the question remains, will Salt Bae vanish completely, or will he find a way to claw his way back into relevance? What do you think? Has the salt sprinkle finally lost its flavor? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it if you want more deep dives into the truth behind the headlines.